I must say thank you. You are here because if you are here, you are technical guys. Okay. Okay. So first, today I will introduce the latest Ocean Store Dorado NAS. I mean, the latest is the new peak of the enterprise file storage. So why I call it the new peak? Because the key message is most reliable architecture. Okay, let's start. Okay, so storage is used to housing the data. So it's foundation of the digital infrastructure. So the high reliability, high performance, it's must features. Okay, and then, but the file storage is a little bit different with the block storage. So the features must be used to meet multiple scenarios. So I will introduce the full functionality of the Ocean Store Dorado file storage. Okay, first, let's start from the performance. Okay, so in the performance part, I will just give you a look about the two architecture design. The first one is the file system architecture. So we know the traditional storage, so file storage, okay, the one file system only belongs to one controller. So the performance is limited of the one controller's performance. So the Ocean Store Dorado NAS, okay, use the global file system across all the controllers based on the directory. Okay, that means the global distributed file system can share all the performance of the controllers and the CPUs. Okay, this is totally different than the previous traditional file storage, maybe some years ago. Okay. Another one is about the flash link. We know we are entering the SSD area, so the SSD is totally different with the HDD. So we must redesign the hardware and the software to leverage the performance of the SSDs. Okay, so for example, so we know the SSDs have the garbage collection. Okay, maybe because all the SSD must write in the new place and the garbage collection reside in the SSDs. So the garbage collection, when the garbage collection enables, okay, it will influence the host IOs. Maybe normally the client IOs will access the file, maybe normally the 1 millisecond. If the garbage collection are enabled, maybe the 5 or 10 milliseconds. So how to control the garbage collection in the system level is the challenge. So normally, traditional design is let the garbage collection reside in the SSD itself. Okay, let's imagine if one storage system has 100 SSDs. So every SSD do the garbage collection by themselves randomly. Okay, so we cannot control the latency influence on the host IOs. So the Ocean Store Dorado not use the SSD inside the garbage collection. We just move out the garbage collection out of the SSDs and do the garbage collection in the system level. Then we can control when to start the garbage collection and how fast of the garbage collection starts. Okay, this way we can control the performance, especially the latency influence than the client IOs. Okay, this is the flash link architecture for the SSDs together with the global distributed file system architecture. So we can look at the performance behavior of the Ocean Store Dorado NAS in the large files with large IOs, large files, small files with small IOs. We can get the better performance than before. Okay, so this is the high performance, the architecture design of the Ocean Store Dorado NAS. Okay, next is high reliability. Okay, this is the most important for me. Okay, so we know the Ocean Store Dorado block storage uses the smart matrix fully interconnected architecture in the last years. Okay, so now the Ocean Store Dorado NAS share the same hardware and system architecture with the Ocean Store Dorado block storage. You can see for you smaller controller enclosure, 4 controllers are fully interconnected, and the front end and the back end card are decoupled with the controller and shared with all controllers. Okay, so in the small box, it's similar with the traditional high-end storage, but it's a smaller one. It's only 4U box. And we can scale out the 4U box to 16 controllers. So that means Ocean Store Dorado NAS together with the Ocean Store Dorado SAM combine the traditional high-end architecture and the current modular architecture in one box. Okay, so this is the architecture of the ocean stored file storage together with the ocean stored block storage. So what's the benefit? The first one is we can tolerate multi-controller failure. So according to the 3 cache copies on 3 controllers, we can bear 2 controllers together failure. And then because the 2 controller enclosure are share the same SFD enclosure, so we can bear totally 1 controller enclosure failure. And then if more controller failure, so we can bear 7 controller failure out of 8 controllers. Okay, so this is a high reliable design for multi-controller failure with the smart matrix high reliability design. And then about another benefit for the smart matrix, we know the front-end card are decoupled with 4 controllers and can share by the 4 controllers. So we can imagine one scenario, one extreme scenario. If we have the only one client link between the host and the storage work, or one link between the switch with the storage work, then can we do the online upgrade of the software? Sure, because we can fail over the services from controller 0 and controller 2 to controller 1 and controller 3 without interruption with the physical link to the client. Because the front-end card have fully connected with the 4 controllers and shared by the 4 controllers. Then the IP address can fully fail over from one controller to other controllers. Okay, so this benefit comes from the smart matrix decoupled and shared full connected architecture. And additionally, if we only the one client link between the switch and the storage, we can bear multi-controllers. This is the same principle. Okay, so this is the architecture of the smart matrix. We can share the smart matrix architecture between the file storage and the block storage. Okay, next I will introduce some data protection solutions for the file storage. The first one is the snapshot. We know for some traditional storage we use the copy and write technology for the snapshot. Okay, the performance will be down when we enable the multiple snapshots. So now the open source Dorado NAS uses the redirect and write technology to enable the performance lossless snapshot. The performance only decreased by less than 5% performance decrease. And another one is very important. So we know especially in Europe, the customer likes the architect DR solution in the same park or in the same city. Okay, so the traditionally the one side is active and another side file system is passive. So the ocean store Dorado take the real active DR solution. That means we use the cross-site global file system and the data copies between the 2 sites to build the real active. What's the meaning of the real active? That means the 2 sites, the applications can share the same file system and can read and write the same file system. We call the real active. Additionally, the failover time is less than 10 seconds. That means if one site fails, the business failover to another site only less than 10 seconds. Because the shortened time, so we can even the SMB2 can support the failover. Okay, so this is a huge benefit for the customers because multiple protocols will be used in the file scenarios. And also because the active DR solution are built from 2 sides, 2 independent storage. So we can smoothly upgrade from one single site to active deployment. So we do not restore the data center. And then by backup. So we know if we consider the massive small files, if we use a standard backup solution, we must read small files, write small files to the backup storage. Okay, so the process is very slow. We cannot bear the windows for the backup. So for the massive small files, we recommend the customer to use the integrated backup solution. So we leverage the local snapshot, remote snapshot, and replication between the 2 sites to do the local and the remote backups. If one data lost, we can select one of the snapshots to restore it. Okay, restore it incrementally. Okay, so this is the integrated backup for the massive small files. Okay, the final one is about the cloud backup. So now the public cloud is more and more popular. The customer want to leverage the public cloud to do the remote backup So the OceanSource Dorado NAS integrates the backup software inside it and then backup the file storage to the cloud. Okay, so this is the high reliability design, especially for the smart matrix architecture. Okay, next is the file scenario is very rich, so we must provide the rich features not like the traditional black box storage. Okay, OceanSource Dorado provides the rich protocols, efficiency improvement features, data protection features, and security related features. So next I will introduce some important for them. The first one, let's take a look at the protocols. OceanSource Dorado file storage supports rich data protocols including the SMB and FS and the covariance authentication. And the IP protocols will support the IPv4 and v6, and the management protocols is rich. And about the cross-protocol access for the file sharing, so OceanSource Dorado provides comprehensive solutions, including the multiple access mode, including the NTFS mode, Unix mode, mixed mode, and native mode. So we use the local user mapping or the AD domain management, the user mapping. Okay, next is the quota management. So OceanSource Dorado NAS use the D tree, is something like the net of the Q tree, right? So the D tree to do the quota management, and support the directory or user group quota, support the capacity and the file quantity quota, support the soft quota and the hard quota. Okay, multi-tenancy is very important to divide the physical storage system to several logical storage systems. So we do several solutions. The first one is the management solution. We give them, every tenant can define their own administrators. Okay, so for the business isolation, so every tenant can have its own file system, SMB or NFS services, and the sharing, and the AD domain, and the LDAP domain authentication. So this is the business isolation. And for the network isolation, we use the VLAN and the logical interface to do the network isolation. So based on the three aspects of the isolation, we build the logical, totally the storage systems. Okay, next is about the antivirus. Okay, OceanSource Dorado support multiple antivirus scanning methods, including the SMB on access and the SMB and FS on-demand antivirus scanning. And we support multiple antivirus software vendors for the customer to better the ecosystems. And the high performance for the antivirus server, we support it. Okay, ransomware is now increasing. Okay, so maybe in 2022, it's increased 150% than 2020. So we must build the comprehensive ransomware protection solution. So you can see OceanSource Dorado NAS can detect the ransomware based on the AI technologies for the IO behavior or the snapshot compression-based detection or the fixed-based identification. And then if we detect the ransomware, we can use the secure snapshot to restore it. Security means you cannot modify it. You cannot delete it, like the worm. Okay? And if all the snapshots are influenced by the ransomware, we can use the air gap isolated DMZ secure snapshot. Air gap means normally the physical links are shut down and only the replication occurs, so the link is up. Okay, so next is about the user management. We support the role-based access control. That means we can define the different permission management based on the object and the operations. And based on the permission, we can predefine or user can define by themselves the role of the users. And we support the local and domain users. So use the comprehensive user management to give the customer to meet the different scenarios for the file sharing. Okay, finally about the ecosystem. We know the customer now not only use the file storage to support the file sharing, only the user can use the directories or the sharing directories. So some customers use the file storage to support the VMware and the increasing container storage solutions. So we can see that now the OceanStor Dorado NAS can support the full ecosystem with the VMware. We support the VEI NAS features to do the faster data storage operations, and we support the vCenter plugins to do the configure and the monitoring of the file storage. And we support the vRealize operations, vRealize orchestrators to build the file system in the cloud environment. Okay, the final slide is about the container storage. So container is now more and more popular to help the customer to build the modern applications. So how to build the best storage for the container? We recommend the file storage. Not only for the file sharing, but also for the distributed database like MySQL. Because now the distributed database uses a local file system with a local server disks. We recommend use the remote file system to replace the local disk and the local file system. This will help the customer to share the data between the different nodes of the containers. And also the file system is more easily to manage than the block storage. Okay, so this is the storage. Another one we must consideration is the deployment. In a traditional database, traditional file system, with the provisioning is not a problem. But for the container applications, how to fasten the deployment of the storage for the stateful application is very important. So we support the standard and additionally container storage interface from the CSI, including the provisioning and additional QS hypermeter, that means ActDR and multi-tenancy. So this CSI interface switches and the easily high performance, high reliable file system will help the customer to build the best container storage solutions. Okay, that's all from today from me. It's high reliability, high performance, rich features for the OceanStor NAS. Just to remember the smart metrics, high reliable architecture. Okay, thank you.